Man, we're almost here. Almost time for kickoff of the 117th Red River Rivalry. In this episode, oh my gosh, we have hit almost every genre, every age group, every era. This guy is somebody that I really looked up to, and a lot of people did. I'm not trying to show your age, Tom, but you were part of those great teams of that Red River Rivalry in 68 and 69 under the late great Darrell K. Royal. Man, you last time I saw you, you look about 30 years younger. So I don't know what the secret is. That group must have held on to their youth quite a bit from the late 60s, those great teams.
Yeah, I don't know about all of us. I got some good genes somewhere.
The Campbell genetics are top notch, by the way. To tell the people who are maybe watching around the other parts of the state, across the country, or maybe on the other side of the planet, maybe your family played a significant role in UT football history. Growing up, and then how the Red River rivalry was such a significant piece of not only for you, but your family. How big of a part of your life was that prior to becoming a Longhorn to where you are currently?
Well, golly, just as a little kid, and my dad being Coach Royal's defensive coordinator, they call it now. The OU weekend was I would say it probably has always been the biggest weekend of the year in terms of football. Arkansas, there's OU, and then Arkansas was always not just our biggest rival; they're our biggest competitor, to tell you the truth. And in terms of a coach, in terms of my dad, he to him playing OU was like any other week. You want to win the game, but we didn't treat it any. The only thing we did differently to get ready for OU is, as Coach Royal always made us practice on Sunday before Monday, before the beginning of the week. And it was never fun, let me tell you that.
We're talking to Tom Campbell, former Longhorn defensive back great, and significant piece of Texas football history, including his family, his father. When you look back at some of those memories, that maybe some stories that people are not aware of how different of a game it is, beginning with the tunnel. Are there any memories of that game that even with Coach Royal in that locker room, that Cotton Bowl tunnel and locker room and on the field, which you look back on and maybe you and your friends laugh about to this day?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of things. One is number one, you're getting ready and you're in your locker room and you're coming out for the game, and there's no way to not be nervous. If these guys today aren't nervous about going down that tunnel and getting ready to play Oklahoma, then they shouldn't even be out there.
Right.
You're not ready to play the game. Going down the tunnel, when I played, our shoes were always had actually metal tips on the bottom of it. It was grass field, and you had to get your cleats down into the grass to get good traction. And the problem is when you're going down that tunnel from the locker room onto the field level, it was slippery.
Yeah.
Because you're on metal cleats and you're on smooth concrete. And the one message that the upperclassmen would give you is, don't you dare fall down going down those.
No pressure.
And I'm telling you, someone inevitably would, either on our team or OU, and it didn't matter which team. Everyone standing up just lit into that player, whether it's your own teammate. You dumbass! What did I tell you about that slick concrete? You take short steps. So if you could get down the concrete ramp onto the field, then that was the hardest part of the game. Get down there.
Just getting up and to and from the field to the locker room. That's funny.
Yeah.
Nowadays they have a rubber tartan surface they put down the center of it. I believe.
I did not know that.
I think they do. It's
Well, hell, their shoes are rubber. Bottom of their shoes are probably rubber. It doesn't matter.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. It's totally different situation now. Just a story of life. Everything evolves and improves, but one thing is constant with that game. You mentioned it, that tunnel is such an iconic piece in college football history. Now, when you walked out of the locker room, what were those glares like when you looked over at the other locker room? Because you're literally facing each other because you guys walk out, you see the Sooners immediately, correct?
Yeah, they have us walk out at the same time. Of course, it was always on national television, and you just coming out at the same time. We're walking side by side.
Whoo!
But yeah, I don't know if they do that now. I got to tell you, we certainly didn't do any trash talking between the two of us. We're not walking down the ramp saying, "Oh, you sucks" and stuff like that, and horns down coming from the other side. In many of the times, we played high school ball with some of these kids. They were our competitor that day, but they were still our friends.
Yeah, it's a much different situation now. They out of precautionary measures, the two teams they come out of their locker rooms at different times, and
yeah,
there's a little bit of jawing from the others because you can see each other, but you can feel that glare, the power of the glare. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's dark in that tunnel coming out, but you can see bright light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. They call it a mid-season bowl game. And I'm not a fan of rankings, preseason rankings. Do you have the same opinion that this game really dictates what a team is possible, what they can achieve for the rest of the year?
I think it certainly was back in the '60s. And there were times, it's just like today. There was a period of time when OU would win 3 or 4 games in a row, and you're desperate to beat OU. And the problem is when you're desperate to do anything, you usually aren't very good at it. You can't do anything desperate when you're desperate. And I'm kind of looking at it now. Texas might be feeling somewhat desperate. How many years since we beat Oklahoma?
It's 3 consecutive losses to OU in this game.
Well, probably the best thing we got going this year is that they don't have those 2 quarterbacks that's played there the last 5 years. Kyler Murray and Mayfield, right?
Yeah, Kyler and Mayfield. But hey, Spencer Rattler, he's not a bad QB. I just think that Texas and OU are both struggling on the offensive line. That's what it seems like.
Well, I think so, but I'm not the kind of guy to get on there and everything is peaches and cream. I just tell it like it is.
100%.
When you've got a defense that gives up 2 99-yard drives against TCU, that's unheard of. I've never heard of that. 2 99-yard drives
in the same game. In the same
game. I don't even know that's possible. And now we lose a really good offensive lineman.
Oh yeah, Denzel Okafor out for the year. He's been here a while, and he was starting to really come around. So when you look at all these elements we're talking about, I mean, do you feel, as from your experience in the '60s and Coach Darrell Royal, his philosophy, and you see how the modern game has evolved and the trends that this rivalry takes, do you feel like, okay, you get a win in this game, all of a sudden teams start realizing who they are and what they're capable of? Or am I just kind of out of bounds thinking that?
I think you're right. As a matter of fact, we always had the attitude, if we beat OU, we felt like we had a good football team and would do good the rest of the season. That was always the case. And I would, I would expect that's the same way. But honestly, when we honestly, Rice, it got to be a point where Rice and SMU were not that big of a competition for us, and Baylor, and some of that was just because that wishbone was just no one could defend it, and so it made it non-competitive. But in '69 against OU, I'll tell you this story. In the '69 game against OU, all of a sudden we have an interception and a fumble, and next thing you know, Oklahoma's ahead 14-0.
Wow.
Yeah, and my brother Mike, who was playing a kind of a weak side linebacker, comes off the field. My dad had the idea, the problem was they had this tight end, Steve Zabel, who was about 6'4" and weighed about 240. And so the strong side linebacker, my dad was thinking he was just getting killed. And the year before, my brother Mike played that position, but now he's the rover. And Daddy tried the number 1 weak strong side linebacker, and they scored 7 points. He tried the number 2 outside linebacker, scored 7 more points. So he comes up to Mike and said, Mike, said, I'm putting you in against that tight end for OU. I know you played that strong side linebacker before, and if you can't whip him, we're not going to win this football game. And they scored 3 more points.
And that was it.
Yep.
That was it. And then the turning point and the wishbone took over, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And a lot of that was Spire. Listen, that wishbone offense is unstoppable if you've got a good passer and a really good wide receiver like Cotton Spire was. It's unstoppable because you got to play him one-on-one. There's not any defensive backs that can cover all over the field, Spire or these guys today. But, nobody's going to play the wishbone today.
It's defensively, it's extremely tough to defend because you got to run support. You got to, even though you may not be involved on the play as a safety or run support corner, you've got to come up and hit somebody, even though they may not. It's assignment. You break it, as you know all too well.
Yeah.
And a long one, they break it quickly. I mean, when did OU implement the wishbone? Because Barry did a great job with it.
Oh, man, he had talent. Listen, the wishbone doesn't work any better than any other offense if you don't have the talent. And I can't remember Mildren. I don't know that when Jack Mildren was their quarterback, did they ever run the wishbone? It might have been after he was gone, but it might have been Mildren's senior year when they went to the wishbone, and boy, were they good at it.
Whew. God, the late Jack Mildren, he was one of the first guys I met when I moved up to Oklahoma City, and I knew the name, I didn't know much, but he is one of those guys that a lot of legends. He's one of those legends which were born from the Texas OU game.
Yeah.
Tom, real quick, what's your gut feel on this game?
If somehow or other we can make Spencer Rattler have a bad football game, I think we'll win the game.
Put a little pressure on it because he's been known to be average at best if he's pressured.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Well, Tom, I don't know what I'm saying. I have a different feel every day this week. I have no way that I lean one way or the other. I don't know why it changes.
Oh my gosh. Listen, it's a big, big week. And when I was a junior, the second game of the year, I got moved up to first team, which was a big surprise. And even my sophomore year, I didn't even suit out for the OU game. Now I'm in my junior year. All of a sudden, I'm second. I moved up from second team to first team, and I did pretty good that second game, and then pretty good the third game. But now we're playing Oklahoma.
Yeah, this
tells you a lot about my father. We're playing OU, and again, going back to that tight end that OU had. I was a strong side linebacker myself if the tight end came to my side. And I guess my dad knew what my capabilities were because I found myself having 2 pretty good games and come into the locker room Monday of the OU week and found out I've been demoted to second team.
Oh no!
And
Oh,
and I knew who their tight end was. I was kind of happy about that. Honestly, I knew that I was not ready to go up against this guy. And I think my dad knew mentally I wasn't ready for that atmosphere. And I played some plays in that game, but another guy played that. But the very next week, he moved me back to first team. He just knew that I was not ready for that atmosphere, and that's a big issue and especially today when they're playing freshmen and sophomores. Are they ready for that atmosphere?
that's significant. Tom, I can't wait. I really appreciate you taking time to join us here at Stories Inside the Man Cave for this special edition. We've got a great bunch of series dedicated to Red River Rivalry, and we really appreciate you making the time for us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely, and I'll be in touch.
All right, Sean.
Absolutely, my friend. And for the Man Cave boys, Big Mike, Coach Mo, and Hardball Harge, and the great Tom Campbell.
All right. Appreciate it.